Hello, everyone. Welcome to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. This week, banners, protests, you name it. We have all the sorts to talk about, and that's just off the field before we actually come onto the field of play. I am Scott Carney. Joining me tonight, first of all, is Alistair Pearson. Ali, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit of a drab weekend, if you want to say, in terms of going to Ibrox. You've obviously get onto it, but the only thing is tomorrow night, it's a dead rubber, but it's Aberdeen. There's always a bit of, there's always something between the two clubs. It is their cup final tomorrow, Aberdeen, so I fully expect them to turn up. But yeah, we'll get into that. But I look forward to going to Ibrox tomorrow night.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
maybe
going to try
not.
my hard.
I was
Try
trying to
my
be
hardest.
positive there.
I know. I'm going to try my hardest to be positive if I can be tonight. And Ross McLean. Ross, how are you?
Good evening, gents. Yeah, all good. Thank you. I'm still buzzing off a emphatic 3-1 win over St John's. I mean, can barely stay on my seat. Yeah, no, I mean, got a big game tomorrow. Big game tomorrow, and yeah, plenty to talk about. Yeah, let's get straight into it.
Yeah, there is. Look, there is loads to talk about. It's been a while since all three of us have been together. I briefly got Ali's thoughts on things after the game on Sunday regarding what had happened on the Saturday. So there's many things to cover tonight. And as I say, I'm not the biggest fan, right, of always discussing things off the field. I like to concentrate as much as I can about the football on the field, but it would be remiss of me not to address what's kind of happening and what's surrounding the club right now with everything that happened over the course of the weekend. We'll start with, first of all, obviously the game, but the football. When I'd said it to Ali before we went to the game, we had a couple of pints before we went. I said the game's kind of taking a sideshow today. It's not really about the football today. It feels, and that's due to obviously the Union Bears and the Rangers Supporters Association announcing that they were doing a planned protest of doing a walkout on the 55th minute of the game versus St Johnstone, and they urged fans to follow suit, to do similar, to protest against their idea of change, what they think the change is. I mean, there's not massive details about what their protest hopes to achieve, but I think the banners themselves that were put up did kind of tell the story of what their thoughts are. Ali, we briefly spoke about it. I think it's caused a hell of a bit of a stir in terms of the way it was received within the stadium. I will hold my hands up right now and say I did not walk out on the 55th minute, nor did I boo, because I honestly don't understand why you would. I can get the sentiment that UB are not liked by an element of the support for various reasons, I think. And again, hold my hands up. I think they do a lot of good. They've done a lot of silly things in the past. However, the banners they put up, I pretty much agreed with every single one that they did put up, and their right to protest is their right to protest. It was done peacefully. It's it's up to them. It's their decision to go and do it. I had no issues with it at all. What do you take on the whole reaction that there's been to it? The fact that the UB chose to do it and the RSA chose to do it, but also the boon that surrounded it.
Yeah, you need to remember there was probably at least or over 10,000 people that didn't turn up for the game that have paid for their season ticket. So they didn't turn up. That was the way they probably protested in terms of the sick of going to Ibrox. In terms of Union Bears, yeah, there's a certain element of the Rangers support that don't like them. Similar to there's sections of Celtic support that don't like the Green Brigade. So there's a lot of younger guys in the UB, but they do a lot of good things. They create an atmosphere at Ibrox. If they weren't there, which you've seen at the weekend there, Carney, it's like a library, isn't it? I mean, it was a shocking
Obviously, there
atmosphere.
was other things surrounding the way the club is just now, etc.
Yeah,
So that does
yeah,
affect the atmosphere
yeah.
as well. But yes, I
But
100%
they
agree.
do
I do
they
agree.
create an atmosphere. The tifos as well. They do well with that. Yeah, there's some stuff they do, some silly stuff, to be honest. But yeah, they're the right to protest at the weekend. That was what they wanted to do, and it's probably not went the way they wanted. I think they thought a lot more people would follow suit. I don't agree with booing them because ultimately their protest is the same as everyone else at Ibrox. We're disgruntled with what's happening on the park and off the park, and that's the way they chose to do it. lots of, when they put the banners up throughout the game, most people were clapping the banners to say, well, we agree with it. So a lot of people have contradicted themselves if they were booing them and clapping those banners at the same time. Speaking to one of the tailors that comes into my work, he's in the UB. He's a bit older than some of them in there. I'd say he's probably mid-20s. But he was saying they were getting stuff flung at them, actual stuff flung at them, which is shocking. This is Rangers fans flinging stuff against other Rangers fans, which if you're there at Ibrox to fling stuff at others, especially the same support, don't come back to Ibrox. That's not needed. So I felt sorry for him in that way, but there's probably a lot within the Copeland carney that, see, because the UB have been moved into the Copeland, and there's probably guys that have sat there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years have had to be resat. So there's probably a bit of an atmosphere in the Copeland this season with them sitting there. It doesn't help with the results on the park and what's happening. So it's kind of probably boiled over in terms of what happened there. But yeah, that's the way they want to protest. That's not the way we do it. We're probably a bit more old school, Karen, in terms of we'll sit and take our punishment and watch the game and all that, and we'll see what we think. But it's that's the way they want to do it. They've got the right to do it. And I certainly didn't boo them at all. I mean, it took them ages to get out the ground, but they've only got 2 hours to go out of. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting what the UB are going to do tomorrow. I mean, I did speak to Tyler that was in at work, and they're still in dialogue with the Supporters Association, whatever it was. So I'd assume they'll come back and sign, but they've made their point in the UB now, so it'll be interesting what happens now. But there is a bit of a divide in the support, and you've seen that at the weekend.
Yeah, Ross, I don't think it helps anybody, the fact that there's a divide. And I do honestly believe reading between the lines, because there's been no clear indication of what the change is that the UB want and Rangers Supporters Association want. There's no clear agenda, if that makes sense. There's not like a manifesto as such. But I can, obviously, reading the banners, I can understand that they're concerned about the mismanagement of the club, which I agree with. They're unhappy with Clement staying in a job, which again I agree with. I do think there's a certain, and again reading between the lines here, and I'm not putting words into MD's mouth, I think there's certain generations that have got no time for the UB whatsoever, that they weren't there before, they're here now, we didn't need them then, kind of thing, and it does cause a bit of tension and friction between the fans. However, the reaction to it of them being booed, and then they come back from, you see some of the stuff on social media, and that all comes a bit tit for tat. That, if anything, doesn't work, because all that does is, if the board see it, they'll get reinforced to say, oh, look, there's enough people on the other side here. We don't really need to worry too much about the protest that's happening, which I disagree with, which I think we should all be trying to be united as much as we can for the. I mean, the majority of Rangers fans, I speak to very little fans now that are for this board, and they're for the way the board are doing things, and they're for the way that Philip Clement is trying to approach things. There's very few now that are on that side. They will still exist, of course they will, and they're quite right to be there. But I think it would be important for us to try and figure a way out to be all together. What's your? I don't think I've ever asked you this, Ross. Obviously, you're I know I say this all the time, but you're obviously younger than Alistair and I. What's your take on the Union Bears? Obviously, you're of similar ages to some that will be within. I mean, there's probably some of my age. It's in the Union Bears, I don't know. But what's your take on it all? The take on the protest and the take on the booing, mate?
Yeah, I think the Union Bears, I take the weekend's I guess events out the way. The UB are brilliant. The atmospheres they've have created for Rangers are remarkable. You know, some of the biggest nights in recent times, you know, your Dortmund, your Leipzigs, but all those displays, outstanding, brilliant. But again, you look at it on the other side, and you know there has been situations where, for example, the fireworks going off mid game not too long ago. There's definitely positives and negatives. But I think Alex kind of hit the nail on the head. They've made their point with the UB. They've had their protest, and I have nothing against it. I'm by no way annoyed at any of the fans for choosing to leave. It's just more frustrating the fact that, you know, it's got to this stage. Ultimately, we as fans, we don't. You go to the football, you go there for what's on the pitch, not the politics happening around it. So it'd be nice to get Rangers back in that sense. But again, there's still a wee while to go before that. But I think Yeah, they're fair to do what they like, mate. I think they've made their point. Let's try and move on from it. I think they've said that there was a social media post saying that there'll be a continuation somewhere around those words. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. I'm sure it'll be rosy as always. Rosy as always as Rangers. And yeah, it's just kind of waiting to see what happens. But hopefully it doesn't get taken out of proportion. That's the main thing. If we can kind of do it peacefully, like the weekend was. Let's I'll give them that. It was relatively harmless. So as long as it stays like that, and hopefully not for weeks and weeks down the line, then yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But the point's definitely got across from the UB.
I think everybody is well within their right to protest. Everybody is well within their right. As long as it's done peacefully, there's no nonsense surrounding it. There's no, as you say, things being thrown, etc. All that kind of thing. There's no need for any of that. You're well within your right to put your point forward. I've absolutely nothing against it. Nothing against it. The fact that they chose to do it. I was never going to walk out. It's not something I've ever done. It's not something that I was ever going to do. Doesn't mean I don't agree with why they're doing it. As Ali mentioned, there was significant gaps within the crowd on Sunday. The board are not silly. They will see that. However, there is still a little bit on the side of me that goes where the tickets are already paid for, so they're not too fussed. I do know that the closer we get to the renewal stage of the season tickets, the board will start becoming a little bit more concerned, seeing what response that they get from when the renewals first come out as well, because they track all these things. Season ticket money is imperative to how the club runs. They need that money. It really is as simple as that. I had a wee joke to myself when I thought, Ali, wouldn't be surprised if we get a week to renew our season tickets this year instead of getting a couple of months. You'll get a 48-hour window to buy a ticket, or else we're getting somebody else can buy it. I jest, but I did think, wouldn't surprise me if that happened. But yeah, look, the back and forth between the divide, if there is such thing as a divide, because I don't believe that there is such a massive divide amongst the support. I think we all want the same thing, which is ultimately Rangers to be better, for the club to be better, for the running of the club to be better, for the mistakes that have been made not to be continued to be made over and over again. But the tit for tat achieves nothing. It really doesn't. And if anything, it buys the board time, because unless you're all on the same page and you have a clear idea of what that change is and how you want that change to look, and you can get people on board with that, then nothing will change. It will just stay the same, and we'll just continue on through that. But the booing, I didn't agree with it at all. I thought they were quite right to make their protest. Weirdly, before that, there was guys shouting at each other and that. You could hear it from down below us, Ali. It was from all the games I can remember going to Ibrox, it was one of the strangest atmospheres ever, because the UB obviously chose to be silent. We're in the situation that we are in. The majority of people there don't believe Clement's a guy to take us forward, and then you're hearing guys having arguments with each other. That was in the stand below us. Even that's how quiet it was, because I think it was in the main stand that it was happening. But have you ever been to Ibrox with an atmosphere like that? It was unique. Put it that way, it was unique.
I mean, the game where Beale gets sacked with the Aberdeen game when we get beat, was a 3-1 at Ibrox off of Aberdeen. It was toxic, but this wasn't when I say it was a toxic atmosphere, it was a weird atmosphere in terms of there was obviously no singing. Yeah, there was folk disagreeing with each other, and it was that quiet, but you could hear what was going on, to be honest. So if two guys were having a ding dong in the stands, you could hear it, but it was a weird atmosphere, Carney. And we knew going to the game before. That's why I think we went for a couple of pounds before, because we knew that the game was an absolute sideshow on Sunday. It just felt like that. It just felt like we were there, and it just so happened there was a game in the background. But yeah, it was a weird atmosphere. I hope it's not like that to the end of the season. I don't think it will. But that was just, it depends on the results. So saying that it could be, but it is a weird atmosphere, because folk have made their mind up with what they think should happen, and the board have said we're not doing it right now. So
yeah, and that'll lead me on to the to Patrick Stewart's, which it was all kind of coincided with each other. The Patrick Stewart briefing, if you like, to the media that was made on Saturday. Now, I brought a reaction to it on Saturday, and I'm intrigued to get people's your two fools a kind of opinion on it. Look, my opinion is what it was. I think after reading it, I was a wee bit emotional. I should have probably let myself calm down a little bit because I didn't get the answers that I wanted. However, it wasn't unexpected to get the answers, if that makes sense. It's just not the answers that I really wanted. I do think, let's say, a couple of days after it, and I've read through different bits, maybe that it isn't as full of backing to the manager as I thought, but he's still here, and I don't believe that he should be. So I'm still kind of toying with my own opinions, I suppose, and how much I was annoyed by what Patrick Stewart did say. Ross, have you had a chance to sit and read through it all, mate? Have you read the main points? Have you heard main reactions? I suppose you've heard people talking about it, mate, probably since Saturday, probably including me. But what's your take on Patrick Stewart and what he had to say? Is there any main takeaways from it that you want to address?
I think probably not too dissimilar to yourself, mate. The main one is the fact that the Belgian is staying. The Belgian is staying. Let's just say that. Yeah, it's. I mean, from a Patrick Stewart point of view, potentially one of his biggest decisions as part of Rangers is his first. This is the first kind of occasion he's had to make a decision, and if it works out, then wow, fair play to you. But definitely, whenever I heard the news, especially that Clement was staying, it ruffled feathers is probably a polite way of putting it. It was I was definitely Clement firmly out. And I still am. Don't get me wrong. It's going to take a fair turnaround to change my mind on that, and probably a lot of fans too. The one for me is from I guess somebody who, I could go on FIFA, I could buy all the players I like, and I hear that we're bringing in one, maybe two players, and that just deflates me. It's just, I'd love for us to bring in 3, 4 signings, because obviously, that's what matters for me. To see on the pitch, that's all I really see, if you will. So that kind of deflated me a wee bit. The fact that it could just be the one signing. That's yeah. So we'll see what happens from there. You could look at it on the other side and say, if Clement isn't the guy, you wouldn't want him to bring in, Clement signings, if you will. If we're stuck with guys like a Dessers was to a Beale or a Lammers, we're not in that situation. So it might turn out to be okay. But yeah, we might just need to hold out for a Dele Alli. That might just be what we're getting put up with.
I think you make a good point, Ross, in terms of with calmer heads prevail, and it's been a couple of days since we've done that, been to the game, whatever. You could read between the lines, and you could say potentially if we got rid of 4, you might get 2 in. If we get rid of 5, you might get 3 in, whatever it may be. There could be an element of it, and again, I don't know for sure, but there could be an element of it with Patrick Stewart going, you're probably not going to be the Rangers manager in the long term. You'll get just now who you need in terms of what we need. We need a centre half. There won't be no project player signed. There'll be nothing like that signed. Again, if you really want to be a glass half full, properly close to being full kind of guy, then you could look at it in that way. Ultimately, it still stems back to you'll always get it flung in your face. Rangers books weren't for fantastic reading when the books came out, so we know what situation that we are in, but you never know. It could be an almost backhanded kind of clue, I suppose, about maybe what Patrick Stewart's thinking going forward. Who knows? Ali, anything from it that you want to bring up? Is there anything that kind of stood out for you? Again, look, and I've said this before. Ultimately, like I understand the reason I was so annoyed, right, is because we're continuing with this guy on. I've said before, and I'll say it again, I understand the sentiment of not sacking the manager because we can't keep doing the same thing. I do completely understand that. Honestly, I do. But when the gap's 15 points, that's no longer a project. It is no longer a rebuild. It is a failure. It is collapsed, and we are miles out of our title race, and it's not even fully halfway through January yet. So that's my annoyance at it. I'm going, bro, hang on, you're now letting our standards slip, and that's my opinion. That's my take on it, because we're already too far. It's gone too far, in my opinion. Then the change should have been made. But was there any main takes from it? Is there anything you want to address from what Patrick Stewart said?
I wasn't shocked from what he said, to be honest. He's going to do an internal review of what he was saying. In terms of Clement, I knew he wasn't going to sack him. I mean, you look at it in paper, we're 15 points behind Celtic. I mean, that's bad alone. The away record's horrendous. The home record's actually really good. It's the away record that's really killed us this year. Certain signings haven't been great either, but they're probably looking at it going, and I listened to Heart and Hand, and I kind of agreed with them. They're probably looking at it going, right, well, the league's done. If we bring a manager in now, it's not worked bringing managers in halfway through seasons to get. You'd rather bring a new manager in and have a pre-season and get his own players in rather than work with some of these players. So they've probably looked at him. We've got Scottish Cup to play with. His record in the Cup's been reasonably good. Rangers seem to play well as a Cup team, if you want to say. They were very unlucky in the Cup final. They do well in Europe. They're probably looking along those lines of that. The league's gone. And in terms of transfers, I think it will be loan signings. I've seen Lyle Cameron from Dundee's rumoured in a pre-contract. Whether we get him in this window, I don't know. But again, he's 22. At least he's a project player, but he's a good squad player. He's a corner baron. That's what he is, and he fills the Scottish quota that we need as well. So he ticks boxes for us. But in terms of Clement, and I've listened to a few when I've been driving about for work this week, Heart and Hand, like I say, and a few others, and it's quite interesting because these guys they're in the know, but they don't know a lot of this stuff. But they're fed some stuff by the club, but a lot of them don't think he will be the manager for Rangers when we kick off next season. And I kind of agree. If it goes the way it's going to go, they might in the summer go, right, well, we're going to change it now. We can do it then rather than do it now. So I found that interesting that guys like Heart and Hand have come out and said they don't expect him to be the Rangers manager in the summertime, which I found that quite interesting, to be honest. But in terms of Patrick Stewart, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked for what he said. Us as fans wanted him to come out and go, I'm sacking Philip Clement. Or you wanted Sky Sports to come up with a breaking news, Philip Clement sacked for Rangers. That's what we were looking for, but it was never going to happen. It's just because you look back in previous managers and they've been sacked for less than what Clement has. His record's horrific. Let's say his away record's one of the worst Rangers managers if you look at his away record. But
the worst in 2 decades, mate.
Yeah, no, I know. And you wonder why does he survive it? And folk will say Rangers don't have the money to pay him off, whatever you want to say. Rangers have got that ring fence. You can't run a business like that.
I agree.
So I don't agree with that. I think they will have the resources there to remove Clement, but I think they're playing a wee game of poker. If it goes the way we think it's going to go the rest of the season, I think the potential remove him at the end of the season because he ain't going to walk. And why would they walk? Because he's in a big contract.
There's no way he'll walk. No, that's for absolute sure. Yeah, look, I get that. Look, I can understand like maybe the idea about just keeping him in play until the end of the season and hoping things improve, which I do think the board are. There's an element of it that the board are doing now. There is
not winning 4 or 5 games in the split when they're completely dead rubber games. That doesn't count as improvement.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't count when it's completely all over, said and done, and then all of a sudden Rangers start putting 7 past people. Then that doesn't count. That doesn't work. And look, the away form has to improve. And I think but with Patrick Stewart even saying that he's made it clear to Clement that the results need to improve. I'm going, how far do we let this go? How far do you want it to go? Because you will start seeing a much reduced attendance going to Ibrox because nobody really believes in it anymore. We always have to have something to believe in, something to hold on to. But the real concern is we take our eye off the ball with all the off-field, I don't want to say antics because they're not antics, the protests, the different beliefs, the views and whatever and everybody else. I don't want to take the eye off the ball of what the fundamental problem is right now, and it's the footballing aspect of Rangers, which it's not good enough. It isn't good enough, and that's due to numerous things. And the board are still responsible for it. They're the ones that make decisions with the money. They've mismanaged decisions. They've made a mess of pretty much every project they've ever done. So again, that's one of the things when you get people saying sack the board. You can't sack the board. It's just one of those things. You can't. They are the guys that are there, but they're putting their money in, so it's really up to them. But look, it's one of those ones that I don't think. I'm pretty sure. I don't envy him for some of the decisions that Patrick Stewart's got to make. I don't, because it can't be easy to sit there and think to yourself, I know that this guy's not a manager going forward, but I kind of need to keep him now, and they're going to need to be coy with what they do. It's interesting. I say it's a weird situation because I've never known it. I don't think that I can remember off the top of my head. It's not something that I remember. We go, well, we all know this guy's not going to be the manager, but we're just going to have to pretend that he is just now for the next kind of 5 months. But yeah, look, it's a weird one. Rossi did mention Patrick Stewart about an external review, as Ali briefly mentioned, about the all footballing aspects from top to bottom within Rangers. We have heard this story a million times before, mate, but he has an easy win here on his hands when you get to the end of this said review or internal investigation, internal review from top to bottom. Release your findings and act on them.
Definitely, that's it seems almost too simple, and you're right, it is an easy one. Yeah, it is interesting. Like you said, maximum will be about 12 weeks. So hopefully in that time there should be some definite, quite significant findings. You'd hope in that 12-week period, and yeah, tell us what they are. Tell us what they are, because the one thing that the fans lack just now is probably transparency. Is the simple one for you. There's fans, you see the weekend they pay their money, that they're not happy. Same happens, times where we've not been told. The kind of the refreshingness whenever even you heard Gilligan come out a wee while ago, and the fans, they can get behind that, So I'm hoping that they use that as an opportunity to win the fans back in a way, if they can. Yeah, Patrick Stewart's he's came into the job at a bit of an unsteady time, but you're right. If he can get these next 12 weeks spot on, and for the good of the club, make the decisions that are best, then it's a great start for him. I just hope that's the case, because it'd be the most Rangers thing to mess it up. But positive, we'll stay positive with it.
Yeah, I think obviously we've heard of reviews being done internally before. The fact he's bringing in external footballing people to do this who have no allegiances, they have no kind of irons in the fire, if you like, regarding Rangers. It's really not why they're doing it. They're here to try and improve the club, try and improve the running of the club. And Ali, I think it's just critical for us to, if he is going to do it, and the fact that he has announced it now, then he has to act on whatever these findings may be, and we need to be told what these findings are. I think we all know that there's real problems within the within the club, the way the running of the club, the mismanagement of some of the elements of the football club. But as I say, it's an easy win for him at this point, mate. 12 weeks down the line, he could turn around and go, right, everybody, here's what we found, here's what we're going to do. And by the way, Clement's not going to be manager next season.
Yeah. It'll be interesting if they come out and tell us exactly what he's found behind the scenes. There's probably quite a lot of stuff he's going to find, to be honest, when he opens a few of these closets in there. But he needs to come out and speak to the fans. So I know he's come out and spoke to the fans there, but he needs to do it regularly, because we haven't had that in previous years. We've had the odd when they've had to come out because it's been the noise was getting too much. So somebody's come out and said something to die it down for you a bit. But he's been at Man United for 20 years or something, this guy. I mean, he's so stupid, this guy. He'll be at Man United for 20 years. I know they've had their troubles, but he knows what he's doing, this guy. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. As you say, Karen, if it goes the way we think it's going to go, he could come out and remove Clement end of the season and really get the Rangers fans on side. I mean, I know we are slagging Clement here and saying we want him gone, and I think he should go. I think he should have gone months ago. I still hope the guy turns it around for us, and we're sitting here with egg in our face. I really do. It's gone too far for me. I just can't see it. But yeah, it'll be interesting. He's brought guys that have come out, like you were talking, that's going to do the review, so that have no allegiances to Rangers or anything. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after this 12-week review.
I think the 12-week will roll into 16-week, which will get us to
well, it's Rangers for God's sake. It's when
but
we
it'll
say
get us, it'll
10
get us
days
towards the
away.
end. But it'll get us towards the end of April, and then you can turn around at that point and say, right, by the way, it's pretty much. But the league will be over by then. Sorry to break the news to everybody, but the league will be well over by then. And yeah, there could be something in that. The fact that that's when the announcement will be made, and maybe that's me. That's me trying to get my glass back to being half full right now because I'm desperate for some good news. I'm desperate for some much needed change. I'm desperate for a full review of the board and the way they've managed the money. I say I will always thank the stakeholders, the shareholders that put their money into the club. I cannot thank them enough for what they do. However, the people that have made the decisions with the money have not learned a lesson, and we've made far too many of the same mistakes. So hopefully some form of review makes a change in that regard, and we start dealing with our money a lot better. We make our decisions a lot better. We deal with our infrastructure. We deal with all the projects and whatever. We deal with all of that a lot better because that's is what we need. So we'll see what happens come the end of that. Ross, we're about to enter our 5th game in January, and we still not signed a centre half. Should I be concerned yet?
We should have been concerned last week, mate. We should have been concerned last week. Yeah. As I say, that's the one thing I'm kind of holding my hat on this month is, January. It should be exciting as fans. You get the January and the summer should be, you're buzzing, especially when I think I mentioned in Club Live. When you bring in like a Raskin and a Cantwell at the time, those are things you can get behind. So the fact that we've not signed anyone, I saw we were linked with a few folk, the Rangers or you were speaking about them. But yeah, the fact there's nothing up, there's no Fabrizio Romano yet. There's nothing that I can really get behind. But again, as you say, mate, players out. If that is going to be what is going to get us signings in, we need to start making some moves out. At the weekend for me, seeing, and we'll get on to our teams and scores, seeing Kieran Dowell coming on instead of Barami, he's the first number one for me. That's such a big wage. All due respect to the guy, he can. There's a club out there who will hopefully take him. Players like your Dowells, your Matondos, potentially your Tom Lawrences. If we want to start bringing players in, I do think we'll need to probably get some players off the books. So yeah, we've seen a few go out. We've seen a few young lads go out on loan, which are really positive. They are very, very positive. But a few wee signings, just even if they're rumours, just something to get me excited. Like it's only Tuesday. The weekend's still a bit far away, so I need something to get me through to get me through the week. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, no Fabrizio Romano yet, which makes me rather sad.
Yeah, did you hear that there, Ali? Ross's voice just broke live on air, mate. I feel like a proud dad. I really do. Congratulations, Ross.
Thank you.
Ali, it's the 15th of January tomorrow, mate. We've not signed a centre half. This is when I start to go, what are we doing? Look, I agree. I think we have to remove some players out. I've got no doubt about that. Again, Ross kind of brought up the second half and the changes that we made. I don't want to be seeing Kieran Dowell and Dessers coming on the pitch. We don't need to see these guys. They are not part of the future for Rangers, and that's not me being snide about anything. It's clear as day that they are not part of the future, and they should not be part of the future. Nobody is saying to me that Dessers and Dowell have a part to play in the future of Rangers. But yeah, mate, 15th of January tomorrow. We don't have a centre half signed yet. I'm close, mate. I'm close to that toaster. I'm going to the bath.
Yeah, I don't expect us to make a signing until the last week or the last day or the last couple of hours. It'll be a loan signing. It'll be a guy for. I know there's a guy getting banded about for Burnley who's been poo-pooed that one, but it'll be something like that. I can imagine. A loan signing. I see Balogun's potentially back now, so they're probably looking at that going, "Oh, Balogun's back," but then again, Balogun can't play 2 games in a week because he gets injured. So they need to bring a guy in like that. They need to get the deadwood away, but it's easier said than done getting the deadwood away because these guys are in contracts, big contracts as well, and why should they leave if they're sitting on a contract? It's difficult. It's poor seeing a guy like Kieran Dowell is the whipping boy of the Rangers fans when he comes on. But Bailey Rice, we were told, was making a transition into the Rangers first team and for this game. Wasn't seen on the bench. And Clement came out afterwards to say, like, well, it's easier to say now that the game was after 3-0, you could have brought him on. But he played in Ciala. He's, what is he, 19, 20 in Ciala and played 2 games for Rangers. Bailey Rice has played more. Bailey Rice could have been the... We're playing St Johnstone. Let's not sugarcoat it. St Johnstone at Ibrox, who are absolutely crap, to be polite
Coaching.
about it.
And if
Bailey Rice
shocking.
if he can't get on the bench for that, then why did he come out and say it? I fully expect him to be on the bench, or if not playing against Fraserburgh this Sunday, but we'll go on to that. But I was disappointed about that, Carney, that we're seeing Kieran Dowles instead of boys like Bailey Rice, the future of Rangers, if you want to say. And we were told we would see him. A bit of a white lie.
I couldn't agree more, mate. That, again, this is why I can't really watch Clement's press conferences, and I don't want to just turn into a bashing of it, but I can't, because he says things at times where I'm like, I don't think you understand. Whether it's just all pre-planned words, it's all words that he's just going to fire out there for people to catch on to, buzzwords and whatever else for people just to grab onto it. Oh, he said this, he said this, he said that, he said that. But not to have the youth on the bench when he's been kind of banging the drum about it, and considering where we are in the league, yeah, it's another kind of red flag for me. I don't understand how Dowell is going to make more of an impact than Rice is going to make. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how Dessers is going to make more of an impact than Lovelace is going to make, for example. These are the guys that I would be rather seeing. And if you're trying to put them into the shop window and the way that game was going on Saturday, then, I mean, again, another thing where you're going, is that really the best thing that we can be doing right now? I think Clement says a lot of stuff, mate, that's just hot air. I do. I think a lot of the stuff he just says to keep people happy and to keep them to keep kind of the attention as much away from him as he can, because he's going to be feeling the pressure now. I've got no doubt that he will be, because of obviously Patrick Stewart's now come out and spoke. So yeah, we should be playing the youth. We should be at least giving them a chance. I think I said that over a month ago on the podcast. It is something that we should be looking to do. But yeah, as I say, we're still no further to signing or selling anyone by the looks of things. But it would be nice to have a wee bit of news soon. Maybe that'd be quite nice. Maybe by Friday's pod, that'd be smashing. Somebody to speak about. But yes, we will wait and see what the rest of this window brings, if anything at all. Obviously, we kind of glossed over the game as well. We kind of spoke about what happened off the pitch, if you like. The game itself, I say, me and Alan and I did a pretty much a full review as we could. There isn't a lot to sit and break down. Rangers were pretty good for the first half an hour. After that, they took the foot off the gas, and the second half was a non-event. It really was, apart from St Johnstone scoring a goal from a corner. And how many times have we conceded a goal from a corner? I don't think it's something we need to address anymore. That's something for the coaching staff and the manager to address. So yeah, that's kind of why I chose not to do it tonight. But we'll move on to tomorrow night. Aberdeen coming to Ibrox to try and turn their season round after a storming start by Aberdeen, and it was. They have done what we all knew they would, and just literally fall off a. Maybe not as. I don't think their fall off the cliff is as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know, does that make sense? The fall off the cliff is worse than I thought it was going to be. It is dramatic. It is. They are now the worst formed team in the league. I think they're like 11th form in the league. They've not won in 12 games, Ali. 11 games, 12 games.
11, I think.
11 games now. So I mean, they are needing a bit of fortune. Really, they need to kind of change things around. They drew nothing each with Hearts on Sunday. Ali, Aberdeen roll into town. Look, they'll raise their game. Of course they will. They're coming to Ibrox. It's what that club is all about. It's all they have, mate, is to come to Ibrox and hopefully get an upset. It's what they are. But really, going on form, especially Rangers' home form, which is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's almost perfect. What are you expecting from the game tomorrow night? Do you think it's going to be the same sort of atmosphere? Do you think there's still going to be the same kind of speculation around what's the UB going to do this time, etc., yada yada, or do you think it's maybe more business as normal because of who the opposition are?
I think there'll be a bit of needle. I think there'll be a bit of an atmosphere. It's Aberdeen coming. I mean, you can fling Aberdeen's form right out the window. If Aberdeen had lost the last 20 games, I don't think it would matter, because Aberdeen's cup final, as we know, is against Rangers.
Yep.
Celtic gave them an absolute bloody nose in the cup. It was. when they were level with Celtic, punching up there, and Celtic kind of went, flexed their muscles and went, he's getting absolutely nowhere near us, and gave it a serious doing. Fair play them, to be honest. I wish we could do something like that. And kind of since then, I think they won the game after that, but since then, they've just fallen off a cliff, Aberdeen. But they'll come to Ibrox tomorrow. They'll fancy it. Hearts missed a penalty in the last minute as well to nearly beat them as well. But I don't read into their form, Aberdeen. They've got decent players, Aberdeen. I mean, they've showed it. They've beaten us already this season up at Pittodrie. And they'll come to Ibrox and they'll fancy to get back and win in ways for them, because their form's due to change at some point. But Rangers' home form has been very good this season. 31 points out of 33 or something. I fully expect Rangers to beat Aberdeen regardless of what our back line is, whatever, tomorrow. But it's Aberdeen coming, so there's always a bit of needle. The two sets of fans hate each other, so it's I look forward to it. Why do we always have to play Aberdeen on a Wednesday night? When do we get Aberdeen on like a Saturday at 3 o'clock? We always seem to get them on Wednesday nights or something, isn't it?
Yeah, or when the supercomputer gives them the first game of the season at 12:30 on a Sunday. Yeah, no, I know, it's remarkable, that. It really is, mate. No, I know. It'd be a good one to have, a good Saturday day to have, that, wouldn't it? Yeah, 100%, mate. So, Ross, your thoughts ahead of the game tomorrow night? What are you expecting? More of the same? An improved atmosphere? What do you think lies ahead for tomorrow night?
Yeah, Wednesday night under the lights against an Aberdeen team, like you say, it is a big game for them. And yeah, it will probably be a tougher game than what Aberdeen are, I guess, communicating at the moment. They've not won since, I mean, they beat us back in October. The last win was the 9th of November. So there's, nothing but 3 points tomorrow is acceptable from a Rangers point of view. You're coming up your next 4 games, I've got them to the side of me. You've got Aberdeen tomorrow night in the league, by the way. Aberdeen, you've got Dundee United away, Ross County at home, and then Hearts away. So there's 4. Maybe the Ross County at home will take care of itself. Next 3 fixtures in the league are pretty tricky for compared to your usual, with all due respect to the rest of the league. So I'm hoping that we. Dare I say it? I hope we kick on. I'm fed up of saying that. But yeah, it's as you say, it's their cup final. They'll be up for it, and we need to match them. I remember I was watching back some old Rangers highlights, and I saw a Connor Barron Aberdeen goal at Ibrox, which just. If I could see the rules reverse on Wednesday night, I'd absolutely love that. But I found it funny seeing wee Barron and the knee slide at Ibrox. So I'm gonna give a wee spoiler. I hope that's my first goal scorer for tomorrow night. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's Aberdeen at home. There's not much more to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the way Rangers' home form has been, then yeah, I think we can have a slight bit of encouragement, I suppose, to look forward to the game. The fact that we do look pretty solid at home. I hope to see longer than 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes out the team. It'd be nice to see 70 minutes, 75 even, if we could do something like that. Then look, if Rangers show up and we play the way that we can, and we have seen the likes against Kilmarnock at home, that kind of thing, then I think Aberdeen will struggle. I'm intrigued to see what Aberdeen will do. I've not really watched them, even though they've been kind of faltering away. I don't know if he's changed what they've been doing, whether he's trying to shut up shop as much. I'm not really sure. But yeah, as I say, it's Aberdeen at home. Do you know what I mean? It kind of takes care of itself. These are one of the games that are always looked at, whether you like it or you don't. There's one of those ones that are always looked at, and it's always a sky kind of big build up to it. They like to make a big mountain out of it, just to appease the Aberdeen fans. Got to make them feel slightly important, I suppose. Going into the game, the press conference was today. Tavernier and Balogun are back in training. Didn't say they were available. He just said they were back in training. Might make the bench, I would imagine. Maybe the both of them, or at least one of them. And yeah, I've seen Kelly's interview as well. Again, I don't mind Kelly. I like the way that he portrays himself. I like the way that he handles the media. He's quite honest. He's quite to the point of it. And He was obviously asked about the atmosphere and things, and he gave his honest opinion of it all, which was always quite refreshing to hear. But yeah, no Butland back as of yet. So we'll be Kelly tomorrow night. On that, Ali, we'll finish with teams and scores. Who's your team and what's your score for tomorrow night?
As you said, Tav and Balogun are back in training and they'll assess them tomorrow. So I think one of them might appear. And the one I'm thinking is Tav, because he's a guy that can just...
100%.
So my team is Kelly, Tav to come back in that right back, because Yilmaz has been honking there after the Celtic game. Insiala, Proper, and Jeffy. Raskin, Diamande, Hadji, and then the three, Igaman, Danilo, and Cherny. And I'm going to go 3-1 Rangers, the same scoreline. Cherny to score the first goal.
Okay, when is Proper banned? I should do my homework about this, really. I don't know when his ban is. I'm not sure when it is.
I don't know. Or is he banned? I did read something about when he goes through a certain period of games, it kind of resets.
Oh, is he not? Is it gone? Is it reset now? Oh, he's probably he might have passed that. Well, there's been no talk about it, so I'm presuming that Proper will be available tomorrow night. So yes, your teams, yeah. I can't see much change, and I think you're right about Tavernier coming back in because Yilmaz has been absolutely stinking at right back. So I see Tavernier coming back in as soon as possible, really. And yeah, apart from that, I would stick with pretty much the same team. He didn't say anything about Danilo. I know Danilo went off, so hopefully there was nothing in that. He never said anything about him, but Rangers should be playing two up top. If he goes back the way to doing Barami and for Danilo, then honestly, I've literally got no idea what Clement's doing, because we create more when we've got two strikers on the pitch, and we shouldn't really change it for anybody, barring probably Celtic. We shouldn't really change that approach for me anyway. Ross, what's your team and your score? On my score, I'll go 2-0 Rangers. Igaman to score first. Ross.
Yeah, I do agree. I think with Ali, I think Tav will probably come back, and if he's fit, a game like Aberdeen, you'd want probably a captain on the pitch.
We're all going to get bashed now, by the way. You do know that in the comments, because we've said that Tav will come back in. How can you possibly say that? Because we don't have a right back, that's why. Because we need the right back.
No, I feel bad for Mr. Haymarch. Yilmaz had a bit of a tough time, let's just say, the last few games. So I do think Tav will come back in. And yeah, I just hope they can pop one by them. Let's just say that. So I'm going to go Kelly, Tav, Proper, if he's fit. Oh, sorry, if he's available. Insiala, Jeffy. I'm going to go Raskin. I'd love to say Baden to recreate the knee slide at Ibrox, but I'm going to go Diamande. Hadji, and I agree, front three, Igaman, Tierney, and Danilo. Although I don't know if it with this game, I still have a feeling you'll get a Cortez surprise start at some point. Cortez flattered to deceive at the weekend.
He wasn't good when he came on.
He was not good at all.
Tondo part two.
But Clement has been blowing the hot air, if you will, towards Cortez's way. I just have a feeling there's going to be a start in the pipeline. Whether Sunday's your game to do it against Petersburg, Fraserburg, whatever one of the two that is. So you might see that, but I do think you need to. If the two up top's working, which it did, you saw even that first half hour against St Johnstone, their movement, they link up well. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. So I'm going to go with them, and I'm going to go a carbon copy scoreline of 3-1 Rangers with Tavernier penalty first goal scorer.
We're bloody due a penalty, I tell you that. We are bloody due one, we really are. But again, that shows you how poor we've been, because we're not spending enough time in the opposition's box. It's as simple as that. That's why we were getting penalties previously, because our figures were massive in many touches we were getting in opposition box, whereas that's not really happening right now. But yes, a penalty is long overdue. Right, that'll do us for tonight. We will be back tomorrow night after the game, win, lose or draw, with a reaction to the game. For tonight, Alistair, thank you very much.
Yep, no problem. Like I say, Looking forward to going back to Ibrox tomorrow. I will stay positive on this because it's Aberdeen. There's a bit of needle with Aberdeen, so I do like the type of game. So yes, just win games of football, Rangers. That's all we ask. If you could put a performance on it, that would be nice on the cake as well.
It would be nice to see. And Ross, thank you very much, mate. And I will leave the description for your page, mate, because you've got a new video coming out on Friday. Is that correct?
That is correct, mate. Thank you very much. I shall be on Friday to fill you in. But yes, stay tuned for Fridays. Some Rangers content coming to you. So I shall keep you all posted on that. But no, thank you for tonight, gents. That was good, and hopefully Rangers can put on a bit of a performance and send the sheep back home.
That would be lovely. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the usual stuff, and we will speak to you tomorrow night after the game. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everybody.